Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Claudine Hemingway is a descendant of famed writer Ernest Hemingway. We bumped into each other at a party and decided to team up and dive deep into French history, but with a twist, by bringing a spotlight to those lesser-known creatives in France. This is History with a Hemingway. Welcome back, guys. I am back with Claudine, and I'm sure you've all heard about the robbery at the Louvre. Well, Claudine's got more intel for you, more information. She has connections there, and she's going to tell us a lot more about what happened and about the pieces that were stolen.
Yeah, it's all a little bit crazy, and we are just about, 35 hours since this all happened on Sunday morning. And the strange thing about it is I was with a friend walking her around the Ile Saint-Louis, and I got a message from another friend of mine that said, "Have you seen the news?" And I'm standing in front of Notre Dame, and this whole thing is like total, like almost like PTSD of what happened at Notre Dame and how I felt the next day. So it's really strange that that is what happened. But as everybody probably knows, is that there was a massive theft at the Louvre yesterday morning. The 8 of the crown jewels of France were stolen, and I really, really hope they could find them. But there's been so much information out just instantly yesterday. Everything I kept seeing, including things from like CNN and big places like that, were incorrect information. And so you know how much I love having all that information. And I've literally been just doing nothing since this happened yesterday of trying to get the most accurate information and talking to people in the Louvre and even my favorite security guards. So we'll give you everything as up to date as we can as of 1:40 p.m. on Monday, Paris time. But what happened was 4 people went up to the Louvre. They had, if you've been in Paris, you have seen these trucks that have these kind of lifts on the back of it, and then it has these like metal cage, I guess you could say, that they use to move people into apartments because we sometimes don't have elevators, or the elevators are too small, and so they just go up to a building and they could go up. They could go up to like 5 or 6 floors and move couches and boxes in. They had procured one of those. We don't know how. They had got one of those and they drove it up next to the Louvre. This is a Sunday morning on the quay next to the Louvre. And they had there's 4 people, 2 of them on motorcycles, very high speed, powerful scooter motorcycles, and then 2 that were on the lift itself. They were both wearing yellow. I've seen yellow and one orange, the reflective vest saying the city of Paris, Ville Marie de Paris, and they were on that. So nobody's going to notice it. I mean, you see workers, but my thing, if I saw this, I'd be like, it is Sunday, and they don't ever do anything like that. But they had pulled it up to the outside of the Galerie d'Apollon that's right there, very close to the end of the Pont des Arts, and they used the lift, got them up to the window. They had a glass saw, and they sawed the window, and you could go to my website or my Instagram and see pictures of all of this. They sawed the window and got in. This happened at 9:34 a.m. on Sunday, October 19th, and they got the 2 people got in. The other 2 stayed down in the on the motorcycles, and they got in there. And then in that time, they broke into 2 cases, stealing 8 pieces of the crown jewels.
Wow. I was wondering because I got little bits and pieces of information yesterday, and it's fascinating about, how they didn't, like you said, on a Sunday, they would never work, first off. So, like, it really would have been alarming to most people that know anything about the work life here.
Yeah, I mean that never would have happened on a Sunday. They got in, they took these items, they used these round saws, and they even had blow torches with them. They got inside, they were masked up, they had their vests on. There's actually a somebody shot a video of one of them cutting into the case of the joy closest to the window. And when I saw that, I was like, I would have gone ballistic. I mean, I say that now that I'd be like full on beast mode and like savagely chase after them, but in all reality, I'd probably be scared to death to just scream really loud. But if it has happened in the Louvre, I my probable primal reaction would probably have been to go and just beat the crap out of them.
You should be doing security at the Louvre.
I just am like, but I know also I'd be just scared to death and probably just freeze and probably not believe. Like, you probably are like, what am I seeing right now? So this happened at that time. And the thing is if you have followed me for any amount of time, everybody knows how much I love the Louvre, but I post videos all the time, sometimes every single week, because I'm in there all the time doing research. And I go into these rooms and I am by myself. I have been in the Galerie d'Apollon dozens and dozens of times by myself until 9:45 in the morning, just me and the security guard, and that is it. And so what happens is everybody in the morning goes straight to the Mona Lisa. They go to the Mona Lisa, and then after that, they go other places. Some of them leave, but that's what happens. So nobody is ever in this room. It's just me and the guards. And it's usually a handful of the same dozen or so guards. And so I just am feeling for them today. But the room is always empty. And it being a Sunday morning, which is a quiet day in Paris, but it's not a quiet day at the Louvre because there's people here on holiday and they are going into the Louvre on a Sunday morning. So they knew, these people definitely cased the joint and knew this. I really hope they weren't watching my Instagram.
You
and see
inspired them.
and seeing that it's always empty in there. But it's mind-boggling. When I heard the news, I was right by Notre Dame, and I walked over the Pont des Arts, and as I'm getting information and messaging with my friend that's at the Louvre, works at the Louvre, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I got to the Pont des Arts and I was able to see, the lift and everything, and I made some videos, so definitely go check those out. And I've saved them on my highlights of Instagram as well. But they were able in that 4 minutes. The reports are still coming in. And of course, there's information we don't know. And there's so many people that are just having, instant reactions and asking, what about this? And why didn't they do this? What we know so far is there was an alarm on the outside at the window that did go off. There was alarm on each of the cases inside. That alarm did go off. There were the guards that were in the room. And apparently they came towards the thieves, and the thieves approached the guards with, like, the saw or something. So, and if you've done, everybody has been told, whether you work at a bank or you work in retail or even just walking down the street, if somebody comes up to you with a weapon and they want your purse or you want yours, you just give it to them. Nobody's life is worth that. So, and the first thing that these guards need to do is make sure people are safe as well and get people out. So, this is all like, this happens so fast. You think 4 minutes, but as you're counting 4 minutes, it's an eternity. But 4 minutes is a blink of the eye. I mean, your morning shower is probably longer than 4 minutes.
Oh, for sure, mine is.
Yeah. So they got into the first. There's three cases of the crown jewels. The closest one to the Seine side is the one that has the jewels of Empress Eugenie. There is 5 items in that case. They took 4 of them. One of them, for some reason, they did not take. I don't know if maybe they dropped it, or it's just interesting that they didn't touch that one. And we'll go into what those were. And then the next case is a bigger case, and that has items that are tied to Napoleon. In some ways, one of the 3 of the pieces that were taken had nothing really to do with Napoleon. The press is saying everything had to do with Napoleon, but it's Napoleon's second wife, a necklace, and then the other ones are Napoleon the third, but usually nobody could differentiate the two apart. And when it comes to, Western media, but they took these 8 items, and were able to get out of the Louvre. The crown of Empress Eugenie was dropped, and so there was some reports saying that it was in its case, but I instantly was like, "There's no way that's possible because the case is literally in a whole window case four four cases down. So there's no way they would have in that 4 minutes broken into that to get the case to stick the crown in to get out. I was just like, I don't know where they got that idea. There's no way that happened. So they ended up dropping that at some point. There was different reports saying that it was completely damaged. Some say that it's just bent a little bit, but it will be able to be restored. So thank goodness for that. But they got out the window very quickly. They were out the door in 4 minutes. They were down the little escape. They had plans apparently to light this truck lift on fire, but they were interrupted by one of the security guards and they just fled off. There's eyewitnesses that saw them breaking into the window that said they called the police. Somebody said they saw them leave. They do know that they took off on the two of them jumped onto the motorcycles with the two awaiting drivers and took off down towards the A6 freeway because they were able to track that on camera. France is a police state, and so there's bazillion cameras everywhere. So I'm sure that they could track them quite a bit. Just because they haven't said that doesn't mean they don't know that yet. We just have to wait for information. That's probably the problem in this day and age with the flow of information. While it's great on one hand, and the other side, we just have to be patient and wait to see what we're going to find out.
Definitely, but like you said, it all happened so fast. I mean, imagine being the one standing in there and that all happened. Like it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that when I saw the video that somebody took of it, that they were definitely standing in the doorway that goes into the Salon Carré. I was just like, what? I would have just been screaming my head off. But it is interesting that they did get that. I'm sure the Louvre has surveillance video as well in that room. But this brings up a lot of much bigger questions as far as security. The Mona Lisa is in a she there's nothing that's good. You would have to, like, as we've talked about, because I've done 6 episodes about the Mona Lisa and the theft, and we'll definitely link those because there's a lot of things you should really definitely look at that story from 1911 to what we're doing with right now. But you could run a Mack truck through that thing and she probably isn't going to budge. But, to think that these very priceless small items were so vulnerable, it's amazing. The cases were all redone. They did a big update on that room in 2019 in partnership with Cartier. So those cases were redone by Cartier. And so they were of, the quality you would have in a high-end jewelry store. But it is, they should have been, Mona Lisa's behind bulletproof glass. They should have been in bulletproof glass, but maybe that doesn't mean it. Maybe bulletproof doesn't mean saw-proof.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what more they could have done to protect the pieces.
Yeah, and some people have been asking me about, like, why wasn't the security there? And I was like, there's not armed security inside the Louvre. At least it's not visible. Maybe there's some undercover or something, but I mean, there probably will be now, or something. But that's not really how it works in Europe. But I don't know. I mean, it's easy to be the armchair quarterback of this situation. And it's funny that, when this happened yesterday, I was literally shocked. I think I'm still in shock. But it's just it was just this deep sadness too. And just, I literally felt sick and, but all you could think about is, oh my God, these priceless things will probably never be seen again. But then it's interesting how quick everybody just ready to jump on and blame. And obviously there are things to blame here. I would not want to be Laurence Descartes today or any high official in the Louvre. I would not want to have that job. I walked over there this morning and walked by where their offices are, and I was like, boy, I would not want to be in there today.
Yeah, oh gosh, that would be a
It
nightmare.
would be horrible. A lot of people have sent message and said, "Oh, it has to be an inside job," but I don't think so. This is definitely you have this problem. This is the third theft in 5 weeks at a museum in France.
Wow, they've been
In 5 weeks.
busy. Holy
The other
cow.
ones just don't make as big of news because it's not the Louvre. But this is something that's going on, and it's people going in and they have saws and they're going down and cutting into doors or breaking windows and cutting into these cases. So they're very highly trained. I There's a show on Netflix, and I'll have to find the name of it, but I watched it, and I don't know if it's just Netflix France, but I'm sure it's everywhere because it was something happened in England. These people that were casing where this like the biggest collection of diamonds in the world were, and they cased it and did all of this to plan to get it, and they did steal them, but they chased, spoiler alert, they changed them out to fake ones. But it is like you could watch. This is something that happens today, and these things are not protected enough. You could go into Louis Vuitton store or the Monoprix for God's sakes, and there's probably more security.
Seriously, that guy checks my groceries like real hard.
I know. So, I mean, you know that there's probably nobody on the face of the planet that loves the Louvre more than I do. Um, I love every single thing about it, but this is a tragedy that never should have happened. It did happen, so just figure out a way to fix it and how we won't let this ever happen again. But it's the I don't think it was an inside job, but they have been talking about since 2 years ago when they did the big press gathering saying the Louvre needs help. It's falling apart. We need to move the Mona Lisa. So all of that now is coming to the forefront a little bit quicker, and that's probably going to be something they're going to speed up the timeline on as far as security. But I found an article from 1999 saying how bad the security was.
Wow, so this has been a problem for a long time. It's just a matter of coming up with the funds to, fix these issues. But like you said, I mean, the place is huge. I mean, there are people in the rooms, but they're not like armed guards, they can only do so much, or like minimum wage employees who are just
Yeah,
sitting.
I mean, and honestly, sometimes, I mean, I've found them asleep. I've found them on their phones. I mean, they have a really boring job. But I've also I've kind of know of so many of them just by face, always smiling and saying hello and bonjour and stuff. And they're all like everybody, even just with hellos, they're all very nice, kind people. I feel for the people that had to be a part of that yesterday. I don't know. I mean, I'm traumatized by this and I wasn't in the room. It would just be, I feel so bad. And I hope that, they're getting some help or something because it's just, it's really just a mess all the way around. So I went down there today. I went by. There's only one police car there. They did all their investigation and everything, but you could see how the window, is the part where they cut open has a piece of cardboard there. The Louvre did not open today. At first, they said it was going to open late. When I walked by there about 9 o'clock, between 9 and 9:45, they still hadn't opened. I talked to a couple guards. They said it'll open today. By about 10:30, they had announced they're not opening at all today. So tomorrow they're normally closed anyway. So we could hope they open Wednesday. I really doubt we'll be anywhere near the Galerie des Palais anytime soon, because they're going to have to, clean that up and do everything. But I don't want to be in there the day. I just am going to be so sad when I go in there and those whole case is just empty. But to share a little bit about what was stolen. A lot of things are being said, as I said, that it has to do with Napoleon. The first case, as I said, it had the tiara of Empress Eugenie, which is this beautiful tiara that is pearl and diamond. And it always reminds me a little bit of the famous tiara of Princess Diana. It had 212 pearls, some of them very huge teardrop pearls, and 1,900 diamonds, almost 2,000 diamonds. It was created in 1853. There was a corsage bow brooch that is also just gorgeous. It has 2,438 diamonds, and then 196 rose-shaped diamonds. And that was made in 1855. That was just came back into the Louvre just a few years ago. It was purchased in 1887 at the auction when most of the, which we'll go into on another next week's episode. 1887 was a huge auction where they sold off 7,000 jewels from the royal collection, and was purchased by Carolyn Astor, 1887, and it stayed in her family until they sold it at Christie's in 2008, and the Louvre intervened, and the Louvre and the friends of the members of the Louvre, before I was a member, but thank you very much, they purchased this brooch and brought it back to Paris and had it here, and that was taken. There's a reliquary brooch that was done in 1855 that's also just amazing. It's 94 diamonds, including two huge pink diamonds, which are more valuable than the real diamonds or the clear diamonds. It's called a reliquary brooch, and it has a small compartment on the back. So probably she would have been able to put, a piece of, I don't know, her husband or something in the back. It was not used for that, but that was stolen. There's one more brooch in that case that is pearl and diamond that wasn't taken, which is interesting. They didn't just take anything they got their hands on. They were very selective, which is very telling as well. The other piece that was in there was the crown of Empress Eugenie. It was done 1855, and this one is amazing, and thank God they found it outside. It is the smaller version of the crown of Napoleon III, and that one, and we don't have that. So this is exactly like his, but a small version. It's amazing. It's just this little crown. Again, go and find all my pictures and videos. That is 490 diamonds and 56 emeralds, and they found that out on the street. The next case you had, and this is what crushed me more than anything, is this one necklace that I'd love so much. Was not behind this theft, but it's this emerald necklace, and it belonged to Marie Louise, who was the second wife of Napoleon. He purchased it for her in 1810. It was done by Francois Nito, and it is 32 diamonds, 10 pear shaped, 1,138, 32 emeralds, 1,138 diamonds, and it is extraordinary. It is so gorgeous. And it also had matching earrings that were also done that included 6 emeralds and 108 diamonds. That was taken. And then next to that, there is this set of sapphire pieces that were done, that were owned by Marie Amélie de Bourbon, who was the wife of Louis Philippe. They were purchased from Hortense, which is the daughter of Josephine, and she had those. Those hadn't have nothing to do with Napoleon. They were purchased by Marie Amélie. There's 6 pieces of this in the Louvre, including earrings and a brooch, and just 2 other just kind of floating brooch diamonds and sapphires. They took the tiara, one set of earrings, and the necklace.
Wow, I can't believe like how much they got their hands. I mean, it's just like snatch and grab.
No, but I mean, it was snatch and grab, but it was also appears to be very deliberate with what they took. They didn't just go in and smash and grab like you see, in heist movies where they just smash a jewelry case and take everything out of there. It was almost very select. They knew what they were getting.
So do you think someone paid them to steal them?
Probably. I mean, it's either somebody that's, some people are saying a Russian oligarch or somebody with an insane amount of money orchestrated this to have it for themselves, or someone, same thing, an insane amount of money, took these, and then they will break them all up. You might remember, and I think we just replayed part of this story last week when we replayed the episode about Marie Antoinette, about the necklace, the diamond affair. And that necklace that was created, and it was basically the downfall of Marie Antoinette. That necklace was done, and it was stolen, as we know the story. And it was broken up immediately and sold off, like immediately broken up and sold off. And to this day, nobody knows where they are. There's things that come up for auction all the time and says might have been part of Marie Antoinette's necklace. And somebody just sent me a video about something in England, like they say this is, and I was like, give me all the paperwork there, you prove that, because there's no way we know that. Either those items stolen last night are either on their way to some oligarchs or very rich person, or they're already completely dismantled. And either way, I feel sick.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never get them back. I mean, I'm holding out some kind of hope. Maybe the police will catch them. But like you said, yeah, it's probably been dismantled. They're probably out of the country. Who knows?
It is. I mean, then, a friend of mine said that she's like, I thought I'd wake up today and they would have found him. It's like they found the guy, figured out who the guy was that lit his cigarette at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at the Arc de Triomphe.
Well,
They
that's
were
good
able to
news.
identify him in the video. Why can't we just follow these guys everywhere they go? And maybe they are, maybe they can. There's, of course, I'm sure information being held back because of the investigation and, what they're onto. We don't know everything yet. And obviously, we have to give this time because it hasn't even been 36 hours. But there's another theft in 1976 in that same room. A sword that had belonged to Charles X was stolen. They went in on a Sunday in the middle of the night, knocked out two guards to get in all the way up there. They didn't come in through a window, but they did break in through another window where some construction had been going on. They got up to the Galerie d'Apollon, stole the sword, and it's never been seen since.
Wow, so the same exact room. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of people needing to answer some questions. And I mean, I admire Laurence Decage, the first female director of the Louvre, and I don't want to see anything happen to her, but the president of the Louvre in 1911 when the Mona Lisa was stolen was apt of a job.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, we can't blame her for this. I mean,
No,
she
of
was just
course not.
carrying on what everyone else did, It's
I
just
mean,
bad
yeah,
timing.
yeah, I mean, you gotta blame the crooks, the number one. But there was a huge, and I think we've even talked about it, and I'll see if I can find it. But there was a huge break-in at the Museum of Modern Art years ago, and these crooks were casing it and knew that the alarm had not been working in these one windows for a period of time, and that's what they did. They got in, they stole Picasso's and Matisse, all these other paintings, and then got right out. And I think they might have recovered a couple, but they never recovered any of the other ones. And that's an amazing documentary. I think it's on Netflix about it's called like the French Spider-Man or something. It's really interesting. But my dear friend Jacques and I said this morning, and I said, how does your partner feel about our new, anti-art crime theft investigation rig we're going to create?
Top selling.
We're on the case. I'm going to find him, and then I'm going to say, give me a few minutes alone with them in the room, and then I'll rough them up. I won't, but I'd like to think in my head, I'd like to just, I'd probably just like grab him by the shirt collar and scream at him.
We're gonna sick you on them like you're going for them. You're gonna
I
catch
mean,
them.
I use most of my Louboutin tennis shoes have spikes on them, and I think I'm going to make sure I'm wearing those every day. So if I ever find anything in the Louvre like that, but today walking over there, I would see like a guy in a bike in one of those yellow safety vests, and I just was like, like I wish I had been walking by there yesterday, and like because I would have probably been like, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you weren't in there, quite honestly, because you're there like every
Honestly, yeah,
day.
I went to Saint Denis, um, to the Basilique, and or else I would have, but yeah, I can't believe. But make sure to keep following. I have a bunch of videos that are apparently being shared all over the world on most TV stations and everything else. And I might even be on an American TV station. I think I just missed a call from them. So it's there's a lot of information out there, but just please, keep following us, and I will update you on everything. And I'm making sure it's accurate. I'm doing the research on it, so I'll give you the best stuff we could find. And and also today when I did go by there, I was walking back, and I'm in there all the time. So as I said, I know so many of the guards inside, but I know a lot of the guards outside, and those are the guys that are the actual security with the security bands and everything. And there's two of them, two of these men that I especially love. They're always so sweet and so nice. I've seen them for years, and the one of them is always in the Cour Carré around there. So I was walking back through there, and I saw him, and then stopped and talked to him, and and I said, I was just like, were you working yesterday? And he wasn't, but he was like visibly like shaken up by this. Like he was upset about this, and we talked about it. And as I walked away, I like instantly started crying. It was like the whole, like last night I thought I'm just going to start crying about this, but I couldn't because I think I was in shock. And then when I shared that with him, and we were both like, he was like, bon courage, and I was just like, you too, and it's just the things that they have to deal with on any given day from people upset that it's not open. But these are the people that are outside and protecting the Louvre. And I talked to another one as well, and I asked if he was working yesterday, and he wasn't. Maybe they need some more people on Sunday. But it was like it was just they were both visibly upset about what had happened.
Yeah, of course. I mean, these people care deeply about what they're doing, and it feels like a hit to everybody who, works to protect us and protect the museum.
It is, and I've had a lot of also lovely, when my video has gone to like now millions and millions of views, it comes with some comments that aren't always so lovely. And some people thinking, well, this is who cares, there's all these other things going on in the world, and and which is true. And those are all very, there's horrible, much worse things going on right now than stolen diamonds. But it's not about the diamonds, it's about a stolen piece of the heritage of France, and that we'll probably never see it again, which is tragic. But it really is kind of the theft of the century, they're calling this. I mean, I think 1911 it was the Mona Lisa, in 2025 it's the eight of the pieces of the royal jewels of France. It's not making light of anything else. This is worse than any of it, but it's still pretty horrible.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely keep following along ClaudineHemingway.com to learn more and follow along with the podcast. We'll keep you guys updated, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening today, guys. If you're interested in learning more about Claudine, her tours, history, and the beautiful photographs that she posts all over Instagram, tune into her website, ClaudineHemingway.com.